Today, a significant shift on the global stage. A moment where Paris and Beijing appear to be moving closer than they have in years. And a moment where France is quietly but firmly trying to build a counterweight to what many in Europe see as the return of bully-style politics from Donald Trump. On December 4th, French President Emmanuel Macron sat down with Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing, the first day of a high-profile 3-day state visit. The meeting took place in the Great Hall of the People, followed by a business forum and joint press appearance. But this wasn't just about economics. This visit had a deeper strategic purpose. Macron arrives with a massive delegation. Leaders from Airbus, BNP Paribas, Schneider Electric, Alstom, and more. A signal that France wants to keep trade open, even at a time when European tensions with China are growing. And yet, behind the smiles, the real story is geopolitical. Macron is trying to do something no European leader has managed so far: pull China into the role of peacemaker in the Ukraine war. Macron told Xi directly that China's influence over Moscow could be decisive. He asked Beijing to use its leverage to push Russia toward a ceasefire, especially after his December 2nd meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. A French diplomat put it in plain terms: China must convince Russia to move toward a ceasefire as quickly as possible and stop any economic or military support that could keep the war going. Why does this matter so much? Because China is Russia's lifeline, its biggest trading partner, its sanctions workaround, and the only major power Moscow actually listens to. If anyone can nudge Putin, it's Xi. During their meeting, Xi did not make hard commitments, but he repeated his message about supporting political solutions and multilateralism, the same language China uses when positioning itself as a neutral mediator. And this is exactly the space Macron wants to expand. But there's another layer, one that is not being said out loud, but is absolutely driving the timing of this visit. Europe is worried about the return of Donald Trump, worried that a second-term Trump could mean pressure, unpredictability, and a return to the aggressive America First stance that many French officials privately describe as bullying. By strengthening ties with China now, Macron is quietly building insurance, a strategic counterbalance, a signal that Europe will not be pushed around, whether by Washington or Moscow. Of course, Macron and Xi also talked about trade. Europe's €357 billion deficit with China, Chinese EV subsidies, and long-stalled Airbus deals. But on this trip, economics was the side story. The main narrative was power. A multipolar world. A world where China and France, two independent major powers, as Xi put it, work together to shape global stability. A world where Macron hopes Beijing will help deliver something Europe desperately wants: a pause, or even a freeze in the Ukraine war. But can it work? China has close to €240 billion in annual trade with Russia, a relationship it will not risk lightly. And Beijing's multipolar vision doesn't necessarily align with Europe's. This is why analysts see this visit as a test whether Macron's strategic gamble pays off or whether China continues to play both sides. What is clear is this: Macron and Xi are presenting themselves as partners against disorder, partners against global bullying, partners who can, at least in theory, shape the endgame in Ukraine. And for Europe, facing war on its eastern front and uncertainty in Washington, this may be the most important gamble of the year.
Subscribe to One India and never miss an update. Download the One India app now.